स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोर्श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. Welcome everyone for Saturday evening program. Today we'll discuss the 4 pillars of sinful life. Basically we'll discuss the first among them, that is no meat eating. So why we are not supposed to eat meat, what are the different reasons for that. So Shastras enjoin that human beings have to lead a pure life free from sin. All the scriptures we see, whether it is Vedic literatures or Bible or Quran, they say the same thing, that human being should not live like animals. They have higher intelligence and they have to use that to advance towards God. And for this, for advancing in spirituality, we need to refrain from certain bad activities or sinful activities. So it can't happen that we are progressing in spirituality and at the same time we are continuing to sin. These two things don't go together. Just like if we light fire and then if we throw water, what will happen? It won't burn. So similarly, if we do spiritual practices and at the same time we maintain bad habits, then it won't help us. So it is like we are progressing, again we are coming back. So basically in Srimad Bhagavatam, 4 pillars of dharma are explained, and the pillars and the activities or the principles which break these principles are meat eating, which breaks the pillar of mercy, then intoxication, which breaks the principle of austerity, then illicit sex, which breaks the principle of cleanliness, and gambling, which breaks the principle of truthfulness. So these 4 pillars are broken, the pillars of dharma, when we perform the 4 kinds of sinful activities: meat eating, intoxication, gambling and illicit sex. So these are very important. So even spiritual, we will discuss basically at the beginning how a spiritual aspirant should carefully follow these things. He should not break these principles, and also especially even others should follow this, because they give rise to lot of sinful reactions. We have to suffer for these activities. So whether we are spiritually inclined or we are not, we have to follow these things. And of course the lecture, as we will begin, we will discuss how it is more at the first we will discuss how for spiritual life it's most important. So that is the first thing to be discussed. We all generally, some sadhu in India, some famous sadhu, he said that meat eating has no relationship with spiritual life. So to be straight, Vivekananda said this, but it is bogus idea, because meat eating does influence our consciousness directly. So there is connection. So in spiritual life, we are trying to always be aware of the Lord and advance. Like in ISKCON we call Krishna conscious. We are trying to be Krishna conscious all the time. So the goal of life is to always remember Lord, to always love Him and to achieve Him. And at this time we don't have any relationship, we don't have we don't know God, we have forgot our relationship. So Shastras enjoin us to eat certain foods which help us in approaching Lord. Uh, so in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna tells there are 4 purposes of food. Ayu, Sattva, Bala, Arogya. So Ayu means it should increase our duration of life. Sattva means it should raise our consciousness. Bala means it should give physical and mental strength. And Arogya means it should give good health. So people don't know what is the purpose of food. These are the 4 purposes of food. And these are accomplished by eating a sattvic food. Sattvic food. And of course, not just sattvic food. When the food is offered to the Lord, then it becomes actually beneficial for the consciousness also. So sattva means basically sattva, the consciousness is very important when it comes to spirituality. Our consciousness should not be like animals, just engaged in enjoying senses. We have to raise our consciousness. We have to become selfless and do everything to serve the Lord with a pure intention. So these lower base desires to eat meat and all should not trouble our consciousness. So in Shastra it is told, Ayu Sattva Bala Arogya, Ahara Shuddho Sattva Shuddhi, Sattva Shuddho Dhruva Smriti, Smriti Lambe Sarva Granthi Nam Vipramoksha. So this is one of the Upanishadic statements. In this it's very clearly told how that when we eat food, pure food, sanctified food, then we advance in spiritual life. We advance towards liberation. So here in the last it tells Sarva Grantinam Vipramoksha. Liberation means to become free from all the bondages. So we are presently bound in this material world. We are bound by 3 modes of nature. So 3 modes means, so these are explained in Bhagavad Gita. And first we'll discuss this verse. Ahara Shuddho Sattva Shuddhi. So when the food is pure, then our consciousness is pure. So here in this verse we have direct connection mentioned between the food we eat and our consciousness. As the famous saying goes in Hindi, Jaisa An Vaisa Man. So what you eat, your consciousness is like that. Just like when we eat, our mind also gets influenced. We have 2 bodies. One is the gross body made up of gross elements, earth, water, fire, air, ether. And there is subtle body made up of mind, intelligence and false ego, which we can't see. So I am speaking, that means I am using my mind, isn't it? But you all can't see the mind. So it's subtle. It can't be perceived easily. So the mind also, the gross body and the physical body is influenced by the food we eat. Just like Pythagoras said this statement, that when we in relation to meat eating, when we eat meat, so gradually what will happen, we will think that it is not objectionable to even kill human beings. So we can see when we eat meat how our consciousness becomes influenced so badly that we think, okay, in the beginning we think it's okay to kill animals, but then in the future we think, okay, if human beings are also killed, that's not wrong. So like this it influences our mind. And Ahara Shuddho Sattva Shuddhi, then Sattva Shuddho Dhruva Smritihi. So if Sattva Shuddhi, if we eat pure food and our mind is purified, then what happens? Dhruva Smritihi, our intelligence, our memory becomes very strong. So what is the purpose of having a strong memory? Generally students may like to have good memory to pass exams. Okay, that might be required to gain the marks. But actually in human form of life, we are meant to remember the instructions of the Shastras. And for that, a good memory is required. So after that comes Smriti Lambe Sarva Grantinam Vipramoksha. So memory means we should always remember actually what is the purpose of human form of life. We are meant to be advancing in spiritual life. So all these things if we don't remember, then what will happen? We will be prone to sensuous life. So we will forget that life is meant for austerity, it's meant to realize Lord. So we will be entangled in the pursuits of material happiness. So memory is very important. So good memory helps us to remember the injunctions mentioned in the Shastras, and then they help us to live a Krishna conscious life. So like this we can see how eating food has a direct impact on our consciousness. And eating meat, it adversely affects our consciousness. In Bhagavad Gita, foods are classified into three modes: mode of goodness, mode of passion, and mode of ignorance. So the purpose of food which I mentioned, the four purposes: longevity, good consciousness, good strength, and good health, those are accomplished by eating food in the mode of goodness, that is milk, food grains, and vegetables. So all these are in the mode of goodness, and they are very pleasing to the heart. They nourish the body and intelligence, so they are very good for the consciousness. So food in the mode of passion, so they will make us, they will agitate our senses, and they will make us eat more and more, like foods which are very spicy, very pungent. So these are in the mode of passion. So they will agitate the mind. So mind will not be in a state of understanding the realities of life. And in the it will be after, mind will be after the pursuits of enjoyment. And in the mode of ignorance, it is told the food which is prepared more than 3 hours, which is eaten after 3 hours of preparation, and that which is very foul smelling, that which is decomposed, that which is untouchable, these are in the modes of ignorance. So the verse is yatayamam gatarasam puti paryushitam chayat uchishtam api chamedyam bhojanam tamasa priya. So we can see here the characteristics of foods in mode of ignorance is given. So first is yatayamam, means it is prepared 3 hours before eating. Then gatarasam means all the juice is gone, just like you may see some vegetables which come now in the market. So already they are chemicals, there is nothing good in that, and also they are dried, actually they are not so fresh. So if we take some freshly grown vegetables from the farm of an farmer, then we can experience such a nice taste upon eating it. But these foods don't have juice. Gata rasam. Then puti. Puti means they are bad smelling. So meat smells bad. Paryushitam. Paryushitam means decomposing. So meat also decomposes very fast. And then uchishtam. Uchishtam means it is remnants of food taken by others. So just like we don't eat food which is eaten by someone else in Vedic culture. So this is uchishtam. Api means and cha medhyam. Cha medhyam means cha means and amedhyam. So amedya means untouchable. So here we come. Basically, this is the main characteristic of meat. So meat is untouchable. In Shastra, many things have told not to be touched. One is the dead body, and one is stool. So stool we are not supposed to touch. Upon touching stool, we are supposed to take bath. So even after clearing our stomach, we are supposed to take bath. That is another thing. So for one thing is we should not touch the dead body. So what is meat? Meat is basically dead body. And here I have a good quote here. The famous British author George Bernard Shaw declared that he was a vegetarian because he did not wish to make his stomach a graveyard. So basically by eating meat, what we are doing? We are making our stomach into a graveyard. So, and also meat generally it is filled with all toxins. Generally at the time of death we experience lot of agony, lot of suffering, and at the time the mental state of mind is not good. And especially animals, because the cruelty with which they are killed, they are butchered, they give out lot of toxins in their body. So all the toxins come with them actually, and we consume that. So it is unclean, it is stale, and it is tamasic food. It is food in the mode of ignorance. So this is the main reason actually. In Bhagavad Gita everything is discussed, and in this verse Bhagavad Gita, I think it's 17.10 if I am not wrong. So Krishna tells clearly meat is what to say about not eating. It is not supposed to be touched also. So actually this is not to be discussed today. At this particular time we are discussing this, but in India this need not be discussed. But now India is fallen. It's not like it is to be previously. Previously Indians followed all these 4 regulatory principles: no meat eating, no intoxication, no gambling, no illicit sex. Just before maybe a few decades ago, 30-40 years ago, Indians were more civilized. So it was not required. So Indians even not touched Muslims who used to eat meat. So they were considered as Asparsha. So because they were eating meat, they were in Vedic culture. It is considered those who eat meat, they are mlechas, and those who don't follow Vedic literature, they are called as Yavanas. So now Indians all have become lechas. It is a mlecha desha, because mostly 99% of people are eating meat. So unfortunately, because of this, we are discussing here why we should not eat meat. We are supposed to be discussing the more advanced topics of Bhagavad Gita. But of course, this is also required at the beginning, because somehow or other we are addicted by these things. So this is the first reason why not to eat meat. Meat is a dead body. Then meat eating is cruel. So meat, if you see, it's a product of violence and cruelty. So lot of violence goes into eating meat. And upon it is said, violence breeds violence. So I have another quote here. Pythagoras has said that a person who sees nothing objectionable in the killing of animals gradually begins to think the same way about humans. So our gross body, mind, intelligence and false ego also gets influenced by what we eat. So mind thinks, okay, it is okay to kill humans also. Gradually it starts thinking. So like this. And meat eating is a very uncivilized way of living. So generally civilization means we have to live with giving very little pain to other living entities. So now what we have to eat, this question will come. So generally we say that who gave you the right to eat meat? We ask people, those who eat meat. Then their question is, who gave the right to you to eat living plants? But our question is, because we have to eat something, so we have to decide what to eat. So every living entity has to subsist on something living. As the Shastric injunction goes, Jivo Jivasya Jivanam. Jiva means a living entity, and to subsist Jivanam, it has to feed on some living entity. So now question, we can't eat dead matter, that we can't eat stones, we can't eat earth. So we have to eat either vegetables, green leafy vegetables or fruits or grains or meat. So we have option. So basically the criteria is what food gives the least violence to other living entities. So we can't live without eating, we have to live. So animals, if you see, their consciousness is much developed. So they are pranamaya. Pranamaya means when you try to kill them, they object, they scream, they yell, and all these things. We can see it actually. It's not natural. But on the other hand, plants, their consciousness is not so much developed, and we don't see any blood oozing out from them. So it is less painful for them. So like that. Civilization means we have to survive with minimum pain to other living entities. This should be the criteria. And moreover, we should understand what is the food allotted to human beings. It is told different living entities are given different food. So everything belongs to God. So in Upanishad, Isopanishad, the famous saying is there, you all must be knowing. Ishavasyam idam sarvam yat kinchat jagatam jagat tena tyaktena bhunjita ma krida kasya svidhaner. So Ishavasyam idam sarvam. Isha means controller. So everything, sarvam, belongs to Lord, to the controller. Yat kinchat jagatam jagat. Whatever is there in this world belongs to Lord. And He has given certain things to eat for certain people. Tena tyaktena bhunjita. So what that He has kept for us, that we have to eat. Ma grida kasya siddhaner. So ma means we should not eat what is meant for others. For instance, a tiger or lion, it doesn't come to eat your chapati. It doesn't come to eat your fruits. So it is eating flesh, it's happy to eat. So why? Because Lord has given that particular food for animals. So pigeons, they feed on grains or seeds. So they don't come for eating other things. So every living entity has a designated food. So for human beings, it is grains, it is fruits, vegetables, these things. So like that, Lord has designated certain food for certain people, and that we should take. We should not claim our right on everything. So then also one argument which certain section of religionists get, Christian people basically. So they say that God has created human beings and He has given human beings dominion over animals. So this is not a proper thing actually. So yeah, human beings may be superior to animals, but using that you can't say, oh, we can kill them and eat them. So just like a father is happy to see all the living entities, he doesn't discriminate between elder child and younger child, between a superior child and a inferior child. If the child is sometimes he doesn't have a good body, he is handicapped or something, it doesn't mean that the father wants him to be killed. No. So it is not true. Actually, Christians, they argue on this point, but father won't be happy if other brothers and sisters are troubled. What to say about killing them and eating them? So in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna tells, I am the seed-giving father of all the living entities. Sarva yonishu kaunteya aham bija pradapita. Sarva yonishu kaunteya means, yoni means all the 84 lakh species, which includes human beings, animals, plants, reptiles, aquatics, everyone come in this. So He is the father of all species. So He has given them life, so they have right to live. So we are not supposed to kill them. So in fact, human beings have been given superior position, means they are the elder children of Father. So they are meant to take care, they are meant to protect the animals, not to kill them actually. So just for the satisfaction of tongue, human beings, what they do? They kill animals. So what is there actually? I was just reading Srimad Bhagavatam. In Bhagavatam it is described after what is the destination of the body. At the time of death, what happens to the body? It is either eaten by worms, cremies, or it becomes vid. Vid means in Sanskrit, it's a Sanskrit term for stool, or it becomes bhasma. So first one, creamy means, so the body may be eaten by some worms and thus it becomes worm, or otherwise it may be eaten by jackals and dogs and it becomes stool, or finally it might be burnt. So those who don't leave the body, what will happen? Just they don't leave, they do some certain rituals. So now of course because of Corona sometimes bodies are not given, but actually in Vedic culture, so the body also is lot of the anta samskara is done so that the soul gets proper destination. So they are burnt actually, it becomes bhasma finally. So this is the destination of the body. So body is ultimately subject to destruction. It is very temporary, nashvara. So to maintain this body, we are so self-minded, we are so, what you call, cruel, or we are so selfish that we are ready to take the right of other living entities to live. So this is very immoral thought. So like that we can understand that actually human beings should protect animals other than killing them actually. And Christians also, they say thou shall not kill. So Christians means it is one of the commandment. So Jesus, he has very clearly told thou shall not kill, but they change. They say that thou shall not murder. They say they have changed it, and they say this applies to human beings. You can kill animals. So no. So unnecessarily we should not kill. So we have nice food to eat. We have food grains. We have vegetables. So nice nourishing food is there. So in the presence of this food, why we have to kill animals? So it's not required. It's unnecessary. So we have to maintain our lives, but not at the cost of other living entities. Then another aspect is this human anatomy, the body. If you study the body properly, it is not designed in such a way to eat meat. So this is a very important practical consideration. So our body is not conducive to eat meat. First thing is no one eats. First thing is no one eats raw meat. So just like tigers and all, they eat raw meat. So they have to. Human beings first they have to cook and then eat. So tigers don't do like that. Lions don't do like that. They directly feed on the corpse. So on the meat. So human beings have to cook it, means it's not natural, it's artificial. So of course we may say we even cook vegetables, grains, but there are other reasons to discuss also. So here are some reasons. So first is animals like tigers and lions, they have claws. So we don't have claws. I have nails. If I want to take some cat, I can't cut it open through my hands. So it is natural for animals to kill. So cats, they eat on mouse. Even cats have claws. Tigers, they feed on deers. So they have been given this inbuilt facility in their hands to cut open the flesh, open the body. So this is the first point. They have claws, we don't have claws. Another point is they have sharp pointed front teeth. So I don't have that. So living beings don't have. So of course, to those who are very sinful, Lord has given 2 canine teeth. Those who still want to eat and want to suffer, they have been given 2 canine teeth. But lions and tigers, all the teeth they have sharp and pointed, especially the front tooth, to eat the flesh, actually to cut it. So they don't have to use knife, etc. And they have, like we know, there is some amount of fire is required to digest the food. Krishna tells aham vaishvanaro bhutva praninam deham ashrita, like that. So I become the digestive fire in the body of living entities. So this fire means it is some acid actually. In animals, this acid is 20 times more than human beings. So they don't have indigestion. So see, animals can eat raw meat and they can digest it also. They don't have difficulty. But in spite of cooking meat and eating, we have problem digesting it. And then finally the intestinal tract is longer. So what happens in human beings, it's longer, in animals it is short. What happens is this: when we eat this meat, it takes lot of time to decompose, not for the meat, for the vegetarian food, and this meat decomposes very soon. So because we have a larger intestinal tract, what happens is the meat gets decomposed, still it remains within our intestinal tract. So it doesn't get removed out. In animals, what happens? It is very short. So the moment they eat, after few hours, it is thrown away, all the toxins. But in human beings, it remains within our body. So, and it creates lot of toxins. So our intestinal tract is long, because vegetables, they don't decompose soon. So they can pass through it very slowly, gradually, eventually. So that's not a problem. So these are some practical considerations, how human body is similar to a herbivore. So these are also to be considered. And finally, after discussing all these things also, we have one more thing to say. Meat gives lot of sinful reaction. So in third laws of Newton says every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So once we eat meat, that means, once we kill animals, that means animals will also kill us in next life. In Vedic literature, sometimes Muslims argue. So some of them, not everyone, those who are learned, those who know Vedic literatures, they argue that even in your Shastras it is told to eat, it is recommended. Yeah, it is recommended for those people who are very low consciousness, like animals, who can't live without eating meat. So for them to regulate their meat eating, Shastra, so it recommends them under many rules and regulations. Those who anyway would have eaten without regulations, without rules, unrestrictedly, just to restrict their eating of meat, the quantity and the time of what they eat. So they are told actually that how you have to first, personally you have to kill meat, the animal. You should not purchase it from the shop. So you have to kill the animal, and then you have to tell in its ear, Mamsa. Mamsa means, in Sanskrit, these two terms, Mam means me and Sa means you. So it means, as now I am killing you, in the future life you kill me. So Sa means you and Ma means me. So you kill me in my future life. So that means we acknowledge that in the future this animal would be taking a human form or whatever and would be killing me. So this is one thing, we have to utter this, and we have to do this at the time of Amavasya, and then we have to offer it to Kali, and different things are told. So these things, what do they do? They regulate our meat eating. So, but still, side by side in Vedic literature, the dangers of meat eating is also explained. The amount of severe reactions they bring to us. So why are we suffering so many reactions? Presently, Corona. So in previous years there were so many floods, and now we also have cyclones. In different ways, why nature is troubling us? This is because the severe reactions for especially two sinful activities, meat eating and illicit sex. These are most sinful, and then we have to suffer. So human beings have to suffer for that. So generally, so these are sinful reactions we get upon eating meat. So one may say, okay, I am not cutting meat, or I am not killing the animal, I am just going to a shop and purchasing it. As we see, it's available. So previously this was not the case. So now this mechanized slaughterhouses and all have increased. They have so many, what are those? KFCs and all, what are those? Yeah, Domino's, KFCs, they have all made it easy to perform sin. So it is told, the Manu Samhita says, 6 people who are involved in somehow or other in killing the animal are responsible for the sin. So they are mentioned as like this: one who gives permission to kill, that means the one person who is maintaining in the slaughterhouses; the killer, so personally who butchers the animals. So it may happen now they may have done so many machines. So that means the person who has used his machine, who has used his intelligence to create this machine, so he will suffer the most actually. The helper, so one who helps, he also has to suffer. So one who maybe helps that owner or whatever, they support them by supporting meat eating. The purchaser, one who purchases, one may say that I am purchasing, I am not eating. So I am cooking it for someone who wants to eat. No. the cook, the person who cooks, and the person who eats the meat. So right from those who are maintaining the slaughterhouses to the person who eats meat, everyone is everyone is implicated in the sin of eating meat. So like this, we have discussed these reasons. So these are few reasons why we should not eat meat. So I'll briefly summarize the class. So we began with Shastras enjoin to advance spiritually we have to refrain from sinful activities, and major of them are meat eating, intoxication, illicit sex, and gambling. So out of that meat eating we discussed. So meat eating is not good because it is a food which is in the mode of ignorance. It influences our consciousness in such a way that we forget Lord. So I discussed that shloka, especially ahara shuddho sattva shuddhi dhruva smriti sarva grantinam vipramoksha. It gives us good memory, good intelligence. So in contrary, the food in the mode of goodness, in contrary to the food in the mode of ignorance. Food in the mode of ignorance, one point which I didn't mention in the class, it makes our perceptions weak. So we can't understand what is good, what is bad. We can't take proper decisions. So tama means, one of the characteristics of the mode of ignorance is tamas tu jnanam avritam. It covers the knowledge. It covers what is right and what is wrong. So we can't advance into understanding what is good for us, what is bad. In ignorance we eat meat. So this is, and other reasons, how it is a product of violence. We should not, it's a dead body and it's a product of violence. We should not make our stomach a graveyard. So by eating meat, our consciousness also becomes more and more gross. We don't mind killing human beings being killed. And then we also discussed that how foods in the mode of goodness, grains, milk, fruits, so they are very good. They give good strength to the body, they give longevity, they give good health, and they increase our consciousness also. And finally we discussed how meat eating gives severe reactions. We have to suffer for them. So not only spiritual minded persons naturally they will accept this, those who want to advance spiritually, but even those who want to lead a life free of karma, they have to refrain from this sinful activity. So I'll conclude here. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.